Priyavrata or Swayambhu Manu, right? So we have reached till the description of Rishabdev. So Rishabdev is the son of King Nabi, and no, because Supreme Lord was pleased with King Nabi, actually, he appeared, agreed to appear as the son of King Nabi, as Rishabdev. So till that we have discussed, right? So now today we'll continue, understanding more about Rishabdev. Okay. So Rishabdev actually, so we have to understand that Rishabdev is actually none other than Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? Who has appeared in his spiritual form. Okay, and his mission was actually to give an example to show how to lead an ideal life. Okay, so we are with that understanding, we have to try to understand the activities of Rishabdev. Okay, I don't know whether we discuss. So after what happens after Rishabdev actually grows up, King Nabi actually, he decided to take Vanaprastha ashrama. Now he actually departs to Badrikashrama. Okay, so we see that repeatedly in in the stories of Vedas, Srimad Bhagavatam. We repeatedly say that the kings, etc., or the devotees, generally they try to follow the varnashrama, especially somebody who is a king, right? They try to follow the varnashrama system. So as per the, we were discussing yesterday a little bit. So as per varnashrama system, once we actually reach the age of 50, it is recommended that we should leave the family and go to forest. So in varnashrama, I think somebody is joined unmuted. Oh, it's okay, I think. Yeah, so in Varnashrama, actually, it is allowed. The if somebody is married, actually, like he will Grihastha is going to enter the Varnashrama. I mean, it's a Vanaprastha. So the wife is also allowed to go along with the um person, right? And then actually they have to depend. They cannot eat any cooked food. There are many rules and regulations. They have to. They have to completely be free from sense gratification. They should no, they should only eat roots, fruits, etc., whatever is available in the forest, and then live a very austere life, and try to spend all the time focusing on the Supreme Lord. So this way they may be able to attain perfection. And also in the olden times, it was generally prescribed that a chaste wife, also lives along with the husband. Actually, so if husband dies before the wife, then it is seen that the wife also accompanies the husband by entering to the fire. Okay, so it was to Prabhupada says meant is that it is not a forced custom. So if actually the wife so desires, then it is she can do that. And also as per the Vedic scriptures, we understand that a chaste wife actually he gets the pious activities of the husband, and if the husband is a devotee, pure devotee, then the wife automatically attains the same destination as the husband. If he becomes liberated, or if he goes to the goes back to spiritual world. Okay, so that was actually very strict Vedic system. But nowadays, I think these things are not very practical. I mean, because over the period of time, the Varna system has actually deteriorated, and nowadays actually we don't see these kind of things. And over the period in the later times, it was actually misused in the sense of people, the women were forced to enter into the fire when the husband dies, etc. But actually, we see from Srimad Bhagavatam that it is based on the strict Vedic principles. So the chaste wife's duty is only to serve the husband, who is actually a poor pure devotee, or a person who is following the religious principles. So actually, just by doing that, she can get all the benefits. Okay, so she doesn't have to separately endeavor. uh, so that we can see repeatedly. So in this case, so Maharaj Nabi, he actually goes to the Badrikashrama, and then Rishabdev actually takes over the kingdom, the rule of the kingdom. Okay, so Rishabdev actually followed the Varnashram system also to set an example. So he initially accepted the Brahmacharya order of life and accepted spiritual master, right? So we can see that, and also when Lord Krishna also came, right? Always he to show an example, Lord Krishna also accepted a spiritual master. Though Rishabdev was actually supreme personality of God himself, he was cognizant of everything. He has all the knowledge. But since just to set an example, he actually accept the Brahmacharya order. and then he lives in a Gurukula, and he actually give Guru Dakshina when after completing education. Then after that, he actually enters Grihastashrama, because that was the because he was a king, was born as a son of the king. He actually takes up Grihastashrama, and then he marries Jayanti. And it is told that Rishabdev actually will have 100 children, 100 sons. Okay, who are as powerful and qualified as himself. Okay, so the wife of Rishabdev, Jayanti, actually, it is mentioned that she was offered by Indra, king of heaven. Okay, so that he got so powerful children like that. And so both of them, husband and wife, actually they perform exemplary household life, carrying out ritualistic activities, which is mentioned in the scriptures. So basically, we see that in the olden history, which is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, we see that whenever somebody is following the householder life, they actually follow the scriptures. There are actually dharma shastras, among which Manu Samhita is mentioned as one of the most prominent. So according to basically this path is the path of the fruitive activity, right? When actually somebody is a king or such responsible order, they actually they apparently many of them will follow the fruitive activity. So the fruitive activity, the path is known as the karma ganda path, is actually meant for the gradual purification. But actually we see that, as we have seen in the later order of life, when they become old, they actually accept vanaprastha sannyasa, and then they perfect their life, during that time by completely focusing on the Supreme Lord. So not everybody actually follows that example, but no, whichever devotees are described in Srimad Bhagavatam, we can see that they follow this particular path. Okay, so in case of Rishabdev, actually he is being supreme personality Godhead. Actually, he doesn't have to follow anything, and he is completely independent, right? He doesn't have to follow any principles actually, because he is beyond birth, death, old age, all this vyadis, etc. Right, beyond the material contamination. And it was told that Rishabdev, he demonstrated, he showed that he was equipoised, and then he saw everyone on the same level, right? And he treated his subjects like children, his own children. So it is mentioned, Prabhupada many times repeatedly says that no, a king actually is known as Naradeva. So he is the representation of king, I mean the Supreme Lord, and he's supposed to treat all his subjects just like his children. And his subjects actually doesn't only mean human beings. No, all the living entities, including the animals and trees, everything actually is considered as the subjects, according to Vedic scriptures. So the king used to take care of everybody, like all the living entities, even including the trees. So he followed Rishabdev followed Varnashrama Dharma according to the scriptures, and he showed people, like he set an example how to lead an ideal householder life as well as follow the Varnashrama. Okay, and then the idea is that we saw in Bhagavad Gita, right? The shloka is there. Yadyat ajarada shreshtas. Yeah. Yeah, so basically, whatever the path, a great person set an example, so then ordinary people will follow that. So for that, from with that principle, Rishabdev wanted to set a great example. Okay, so then further, actually, now till now we have discussed the chapter 4. Now we are moving to chapter 5. In chapter 5, no, the name of the chapter 5 is Lord Rishabdev is teaching to his son. Okay, so this actually, there are some very famous shlokas in this. So this chapter starts with the shloka Rishabho Vacha. Nayam deho dehabhajan loke kashtan kaman arhade vidbhujam ye tabo divyam putraga yena satvam shuddhed yasmad brahma saukyam tvanandam. So this is the first instruction of Rishabdev. Okay, so we will see that actually some of the instructions are very strong, very strong instructions actually. So we may feel that okay, this is too strong or too difficult to follow. Um, so just to understand what how the examples were set, I think we should understand like what are the instructions. So we, for all our acharyas and Srila Prabhupada especially, he has actually um, condensed all the essence of all the instructions, right, to a form that actually we can practically follow. So that is what the Krishna conscious movement is. In Krishna conscious movement, actually we have some principles, right, do's and don'ts, and like following the four regulatory principles and chanting the holy names of the Lord, right. So these are the fundamental things. So by following these instructions, no, actually we can attain the perfection. Okay, so but nevertheless, actually we can see how the devotees in the past they had actually um, lived their life. So in this shloka, what Lord Rishabhdev is saying is that I'll read the translation. Shloka number is 5.5.1. Okay, so what the translation is, Lord Rishabhdev told his sons, "My dear boys, of all the living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded the human form should not work day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for the dogs and hogs that eat stool. One should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service. By such activity, one's heart is purified, and one attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness and which continues forever." Okay, so this is actually very powerful instructions from Rishabdev. Okay, so we have seen this principle many times, again and again in various shlokas and various lectures. We would have seen it, right? So the principle is that we have seen that other shloka also, no? So basically, what is the difference between a human being and an animal, right? So what is shloka? Ahara nidra maya mayadunam cha, right? That shloka is there, no? Samanya medan pashvet naranam dharmo hi hina adhiko vishesho, right? Let us see actually the shloka. I'll just 1 second. Give me a moment. I not copy the shloka. Uh, yes, yeah. So the shloka is actually Ahara nidra bhayamaidunam cha samanya medat pashubir naranam dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesho dharme nahina pashve samanam. So basically, it is saying that the four necessities of the living entities, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So these are the four principles common to both human beings and animals. So what is the difference between human being and animal is that the human, because human beings have higher intelligence, if human beings after getting a human body also does the same four things, then actually this human being is no better than animal, right? So the human body is actually meant for self-realization. So that actually the example we know, right? So basically there are 84 lakh different kinds of bodies available. Okay, so there is an analogy in this context which actually compares this material existence. The material existence is many times compared to an ocean, right? It is known as Bhavasagara, right? The ocean of material existence, Bhavasagara or Bhavambude, like that. We compare the material existence to an ocean. So, so actually, when we are in the material world, we actually the living entity continuously goes through the cycle of birth and death. So how to cross over this ocean of a material existence? So that is the purpose of human life. Okay, so so the 84 lakh species of life are actually kind of different boats. We to cross an ocean we need a boat, plavam, right? So a boat actually is required. So these are 84 lakh boats are available, but all these boats, only the human form of the boat which is of the human body, that is the only boat which is capable of crossing this ocean, right? So sometimes we know that very small boat actually they cannot what you call they cannot fight against the waves of the ocean, or no, if there's a storm or some adverse condition, actually they will capsize, and everybody will drown. So we need a suitable boat to cross over. So that is the first qualification to cross over the material existence, is that we need a human body. That human body, the boat which is a human body. So fortunately the living entity has got this boat which is capable of crossing the material ocean. Okay, so the next thing is that just having the boat is not enough, right? So because the ocean is so vast, we need an expert captain who actually can navigate this ocean, who is an experienced. So the expert captain is compared to a spiritual master. A spiritual master who is self-realized, he has already crossed this ocean. So he knows he is a suitable captain who can take you to the other side of the ocean. So this is the second thing which we need, right? Then actually the third thing is that with these things also, we sometimes know. I think somebody is not muted. Okay, so now it's fine. So the third thing we need is that we need the winds which are favorable for the navigation. right? So the favorable winds are required. So the favorable winds are compared to the scriptures, right? So this way, when we have all the favorable ingredients, then only it is possible to cross this ocean, right? And then in scriptures it is mentioned that when somebody gets such a perfect scenario, like a suitable body, suitable boat, a suitable captain, and then favorable conditions, then this entire material existence, this huge ocean, which is unsurmountable, it will appear like the water which is collected in the hoof print of a calf. The small calf, if when it put its foot, there will be a small kind of a puddle, right? So actually, it becomes so easy to cross over this ocean. The ocean, otherwise, the ocean is unsurmountable. But actually, when you have the favorable conditions like a suitable body, so favorable spiritual master, and then actually this entire material existence will look like a small puddle of water actually, which you can just easily cross over. So this way, so that is same essence actually. Your Lord Rishabhdev is also communicating the same thing. He's saying that so actually basically we should not over endeavor for sense gratification. Okay, because sense gratification is available in all forms of life. It is told that when somebody takes birth, or automatically whatever we are, the how much happiness and distress the living entity is supposed to undergo in this particular lifetime, that is already predetermined based on the past karma, right? We have discussed about the karma, right? The sanjita karma, prarabdha karma, etc. So the prarabdha karma is the karma that the living entity is supposed to undergo in this lifetime. Okay, so this is already determined. So whatever, whether we endeavor or not, good and bad things will come. So many times we have seen, that agama payino anitya tam sidikshasya bharata, right? What is that actually before that? Matra sparshastu kaundeya shidoshna sukha dukkadaha, right? So basically like shidoshna mean the heat and cold, right? Similarly, winter and summer. So all these dualities, right? They come uninvited actually. So there is no option actually. We have to undergo that. So just like the good things will actually have an end, similarly bad things also will have an end, right? So we don't have to do over endeavor actually. So when we try to counteract these actions in life, then actually we get entangled in the material web of existence. So these things are already, we can't change actually these things. It will be there. So the only option is to fully surrender to Supreme Lord. So as long as we try to counteract the Maya by material means, we will always be failure. But only way is actually to surrender to Krishna, because Krishna says that, what is that? Mama Maya Durataya, right? For that, Devi Esha Gunamayi. Devi Esha Gunamayi, Mama Maya Durataya. Mama Eva Ye Prabhadyante, Maya Medam Tarantide. So Krishna says that this material energy of mind, right? Devi Esha Gunamayi, consisting of the three modes of material nature. Uh, Devi Esha Gunamayi, Mama Maya Durataya. So it's very difficult to overcome. It's unsurmountable, the material energy of mind. So because it is his Lord's own energy, so it is very difficult to overcome actually the Maya. But how we can overcome? He says that Mam eva ye prabhadyante Maya medam tarantite. But when you surrender to the Supreme Lord, who is actually the control of Maya, right? That is the only way. Then actually Maya cannot do anything. So the only way to overcome the material existence is taking shelter of the Supreme Lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and spiritual master. Then again, the same thing, no? The material existence will be easily to cross over. Otherwise, if you try to counteract the happiness and distress, then actually, it is not possible to do. Okay, so Rishabh is saying that no, don't work like hogs and dogs day and night, for earning the bread, right? Or or ultimately, it is told that everybody actually is ultimately doing all the hard work for sense and enjoyment. Because somebody, for example, has a family, actually his intention is to have sense enjoyment, right? And when the family is there, automatically he is forced to work hard because he has to maintain the family. But the root cause of everything is the desire to enjoy, right? So and then because of this desire to enjoy, he is forced to work like day and night hard, like a donkey, right? So he's saying that this happiness is actually available to hog eaters also. So instead of that, we actually, human life should be meant for self realization. That is the purpose of human realization. So this way, Rishabh King, the Lord Rishabdev actually gives advices his children, very strong advice. Okay, in that context, Prabhupada actually gives some example. He gives some in the purport. He talks about this. A man travels to his earn his livelihood, leaving home early in the morning, catching a local train. So it seems at that time also this similar situation was there, right? Catching a local train and being packed in a compartment, he has to stand for an hour or two in order to reach the place of business. So somebody who has gone to, for example, Mumbai, right? They will know actually how difficult it is to travel in the local train, right? People will be hanging out. I know it's like a life and death situation to just to go to work. right? Then again he takes a bus to get to the office. At the office he works hard from 9 to 5. Then he takes 2 or 3 hours to return home. After eating, he enjoys with his wife and goes to sleep. For all this hardship, his only happiness is little sensual pleasure. Right? Yen maidunadi grihamedi sugami tucham. Rishabdev clearly state that human life is not meant for this kind of existence, which is enjoyed even by dogs and hogs. Indeed, dogs and hogs does not have to work hard for sense pleasure. A human being should try to live it in different way and should not try to imitate dogs and hogs. So the human life is meant for tapasya, austerities and penance, right? So that's what actually the first instruction. So the first instruction is very, very strong. Okay, so this way Rishabdev continues his instruction, and then some of the important topics I will just cover. And one of the purport, Srila Prabhupada quote from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he talks about the shloka, Asat Sangha Tyaga E Vaishnavachara. Stri Sanki Ega Asadu Krishna Bhaktara Ara. So what it says, to remain unattached to the modes of material nature, one should avoid association with those who are asat, materialistic. Okay, so there are two kinds of materialist. One who is attached to woman and sense gratification, and the other is simply a non-devotee. So basically, one's progress in spiritual life is, I know, is highly dependent on what kind of association he is having. Okay, so basically, we have heard that anukulyasya sankalpam, pratikulyasya vivarjanam. So whatever is favorable to advancement of spiritual life, we have to do that, and whatever is unfavorable, we should avoid. So in this context, actually in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Upadeshamrita, there are many instructions actually, right? So this instruction is also there. We're avoiding the association of non-devotees. This is very, very important, because if you associate with people who are materialistic, then automatically we get actually those qualities and attributes. Our consciousness will get affected by that. Okay. Then another instruction, he says, Rishabdev says, even though one may be very learned and wise, if he is mad, if he does not understand that the endeavor for sense gratification is useless waste of time, being forgetful of his own interest, he tries to be happy in the material world, centering his interest around his home, which is based on attraction to the opposite gender, and which brings him all kinds of material miseries. In this way, one is no better than a foolish animal. So, like, the very, very strong instructions are there. Okay. Yeah, so this sloka, then actually this sloka is interesting. Eighth sloka. You want to read? 5.5.8. Huh? This sloka. 5.5.8. Bhagavatam. Okay, I'll read. So this is very famous sloka, no? Just before we saw that. So, Pumsa striya mituni bhavametam tayor mito hridaya granthim ahu ado griha kshetra sutapta vittair janasya mohoyam aham mamedi. Okay, so how the concept of me and I actually is deep rooted in the materialistic life. So it is mentioned that the attraction between the male and female is the basic principle of material existence. On the basis of this misconception, which ties together the hearts of male and female, one becomes attracted to his body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one increases life's illusion and thinks in terms of I and mine. Okay, so this is the kind of root cause of our suffering. How actually we develop this kind of selfish nature, right? Basically, selfishness has different levels. Like, first it can be only self-centered about the only me. Then actually, to the family, then to the society, then to the nation, like that actually. So Prabhupada says that all of them actually are selfishness, right? None of this attachment, is going to help you to go back to Krishna, right? Because all these things are surrounded around the concept of the bodily concept. Because I identify with my current identity, all other relationship exist, right? If I don't identify this, like myself with this particular current identity, then none of these relationships exist. So this is because I identify with the body. I think that I am so and so person, and then naturally when I am so and so person, so this is my wife, this is my child, this is my like house, this is my car, this is my city, this is my state, like that. All these other relationships also come into existence. Okay, so this way the human being get more and more entangled in the conditioned life. And the strongest knot in the heart of a person implicated in material life due to the results of past actions is slackened, one turns away from his attachment to home, wife, and children. In this way, one gives up basic principle of illusion, I and mine, and becomes liberated. Thus, one goes to the transcendental world. Okay, so unless until we are able to overcome the selfish nature and the desire to sense enjoyment, it is not possible to make progress in spiritual life. So that is what essence of that instruction is. Then further in 5.18, 18th shloka, further Rishabdev says, Gururna syat, Gururna sasyat, Swajano na sasyat, Vidana sasyaj, Janani na sasyat, Devam na satsyan, na padischa sasyan, na mochayed ya samupeta mrityum. Okay, so what it means is that one who cannot deliver his dependence from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, a father, a husband, a mother, or a worshipable demigod. So these are all the responsible roles, right? So one who is a father, okay, if he is not able to give the spiritual knowledge to his children, no, if father or mother, both, no, if father or a mother, if they are not able to give the spiritual knowledge to the child and is not able to liberate the child, right, then actually such a person should not become a father or mother. Similarly, a spiritual master also, a husband, and also demigod is mentioned actually. So these are all responsible roles, and when you have such responsibility, we have to actually ensure that your dependents actually, they actually not get material benefits or materially they become prosperous, but rather we should see that they become spiritually advanced, and then they are able to escape from the cycle of birth and death. Okay, so further, so what is the question? I think we have to mute. Okay, now it's fine. Okay. Yep. So Rishabdev further says, he reveals his identity. Shloka number. So in 24, Shloka number 24, Rishabdev actually says this: the Vedas are my eternal transcendental sound incarnation. Therefore, the Vedas are Shabda Brahma. In this world, the Brahmanas thoroughly study all the Vedas, and because they assimilate the Vedic conclusion, they are also to be considered as Vedas personified. The Brahmanas are situated in the supreme transcendental mode of nature, Sattva-guna. Because of this, they are fixed in mind control. So there are qualities of Brahmanas are mentioned, like Samo, Dama, Stava, Shaucham, Shandir, Arjavamevacha, Nanam, Vijnanamastikyam, Brahma, Karma, Sabhavacha. So these are actually some of the qualities of Brahmana. So, but what is important is that, so Rishabdev actually is mentioning that these Vedas, right? Vedas are my eternal transcendental sound incarnation. So that is why it is known as Shabda Brahma. So actually, that is why it is very important for us to have faith in the Vedas. So if we consider Vedas as some book which is written by somebody, then actually there is no point, because a normal person in the material world, they are actually subjected to the defects, 4 defects, right? So the propensity to cheat, the imperfect senses, then their illusion, and then they commit mistakes. So these 4 defects every living entity has. So with this imperfect situation, nobody can produce something which is perfect. So that way so that is why many times we reiteratedly see that it is mentioned that Vedas are actually coming from Supreme Lord, right? It is also known as Apaurushaya. So it is not something which is not written by anybody in this material world. It is coming from beyond. It is transcendental. So the Vedas actually, first time the Vedas manifest to Lord Brahma, right, after the creation, right, and through Brahma we saw that it actually comes through disciplic succession. So we should consider the Vedas actually as the direct representation of Supreme Lord. And Supreme Lord, because Supreme Lord has created entire manifestation, material, spiritual worlds, everything. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartade. So he says that all the material world, spiritual world, everything come from him. So because he is the origin of everything and he is giving the Vedas, so we have to actually have faith in the scriptures. And then we saw that one who has implicit faith in scriptures and spiritual master, automatically all the purports of the Vedas will be revealed. So this is very important for us to understand, right? And also we have to understand which part in Vedas actually is important for us, because as such Vedas are very vast, and then Vedas talks about different paths meant for different levels of people. Like mostly Vedas talk about karma kanda, and most of the people in general are interested in the Karmaganda section. So Karmaganda section will talk about how we can become materially prosperous, or how we can have a better life in the next life, by going to heavenly planets. But actually, that is actually kind of a false path, where actually you will get stuck in the cycle of birth and death. So the real path of the Vedas, the conclusion of Vedas, actually is given in, for example, in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. It's actually the devotional service to Supreme Lord is the ultimate purpose of Vedic scriptures that you have seen. Right? Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita that Vedesha sarve rahameva vedyo Vedanta krit veda videka chaham. So the Vedesha sarve rahameva vedyo means the purpose of knowing all the Vedas is to understand Supreme, who is Krishna. So if somebody after reading all the Vedic scriptures, he is not able to come to the conclusion that Krishna is the Supreme, then all his study is actually just waste of time. But on the contrary, if somebody did not even read Vedas, but he came to the conclusion that Supreme Krishna is Supreme, is the root of everything, then actually we can consider him to be knowing all the Vedas. So this is the essential purpose of Vedic knowledge, right? But the point what we want to understand here is that we have to understand that Vedas actually are Apaurushaya, and it's coming from the Supreme Lord, right? And we should not doubt the scriptures. Okay, though we may not be able to understand everything in the beginning. Okay, so after this, after giving the instructions, then Rishabdev actually, he renounced the material world, and he takes the form of an Avaduta. Okay, so Avaduta, you might be already aware. So Avaduta is a person who is completely renounced. Okay, he is completely not in the bodily concept. So generally, an Avaduta will appear like a madman, right? He don't care for any social customs, right? He doesn't care for his body. He doesn't care for the society. He doesn't care how he looks, etc., etc. So basically, he generally some of the Avadhus, they actually roam around, without any dress, right? So they don't care actually what others think about it. So they because they want to be completely freed from the bodily concept. Because when we think about the body, Krishna, somebody has joined. I think you have to mute. Yeah. Okay. So when we try to be concerned about the body, for example, generally we spend so much time for the body, right? We want to decorate the body. We want to wear nice dress. So that means that we are in the bodily concept. We are concerned about the body. But an Avaduta, being completely above the bodily concept, he doesn't care about anything. So because of which, he's not attached to. He doesn't have any possession, nothing. So we say, roti, kapda, makan, right? So he doesn't actually have anything. So he doesn't have roti, doesn't have kapda, and doesn't have makan. Because all these things are, so when we try to get all these things, then actually we again get stuck in the cycle of birth and death. We get entangled in the material things, because we want to get anything, we need money. Then for money we have to work. For while working, actually we have to do so many material things like that. We get so Avaduda is actually already completely self-realized person. He is actually completely detached. So he doesn't have anything. He doesn't have. So roti, kapda, makan. So roti actually he doesn't worry. So if by the will of Supreme Lord, somehow or other, if he gets something, somebody gives him something, he will accept it. Otherwise, he will not do anything. Similarly, rest he'll just sleep wherever actually it's possible, and then he doesn't care, as I told. And there is also called Ajagira Vritti, right? Ajgar or Ajagira Vritti is actually known as the python. How the python actually earns his food, that Navaduda is also like that. So python actually doesn't does any hard work to get the prey. So it is told that it just lays down in a place somewhere in a forest, somewhere it just lies down in a place. For many days he'll not move. And by chance, if some animal comes in its path, and actually he'll kill and eat it. So there is no endeavor for it to gain the food. So similarly, advanced transcendentalist, he is also behave like an Ajagira. No, he actually doesn't endeavor for the food or any of his necessities. So Rishabdev wanted to show the example of a completely detached person. So what he whatever he actually he left all the material things, and he passed through human society like a blind, deaf, and dumb man, an idle stone, a ghost, or a madman. Although people called him such names, he remained silent and did not speak to anyone. Okay, so this is how Rishabdev actually transformed in the end. Then, when Lord Rishabdev saw that the general populace was very antagonistic to his execution of mystic yoga, he accepted the behavior of a python in order to counteract their opposition. Thus, he stayed in one place and lay down. While lying down, he ate and drank, and he passed stool and urine and rolled in it. Indeed, he smeared his whole body with his own stool and urine, so that opposing elements might not come to disturb him. Okay, so this may look very abominable to us, but it is explained, to give the strictness of an Avaduta, right? To what level actually he is detached, and to what extent he can go to focus on the spiritual path, because he doesn't want to get disturbed by anyone. Because see, that we'll see further actually in the story of Jadabharata. Jadabharata also actually took the path of a Avaduda. So basically, otherwise, if you are a normal person, everybody will come and trouble you, asking so many questions. And then they will drag you to the material concepts. And so if somebody is mad and completely like a abominable person, nobody wants to go near him, right? So this is why they purposely do this. But because in the case of Rishabh Dev, the speciality is that because he was Supreme Lord himself, because Lord Rishabh remained in that condition, the public did not disturb him. But actually, very interesting fact which is mentioned is that, but no bad aroma emanated from his stool and urine. Quite contrary, his stool and urine were so aromatic that they filled 80 miles of the countryside with a pleasant fragrance. So it is told that actually Rishabdev did not have a material body. No, he had a spiritual body. Okay, but just to show the example, no, he actually just accepted the position of a normal living entity, but actually he is transcendental always. So it is told that no, when the Lord comes, Supreme Lord comes, he is always transcendental, right? What is the shloka? Avajanandi ma muda manushim tanumashida param bhavam param bhavam ajanando Mama Buddha Maheshwara, right? And I also say that Sambhavami Atma Maya. So he says that whenever the Supreme Lord comes to the material world, he comes in with his own internal potency. He is not subjected to the material laws, no, like to take birth. He is not forced to take birth because of his past karma, but he just descends by his own sweet will. And then he is always in his transcendental body. So similarly, Rishabh, being Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was in his spiritual body, but he exhibited the pastimes, because of his whatever purpose he wanted to achieve. For that, he exhibited the pastime. Okay. So in this way, Lord Rishabdev followed the behavior of cows, deer, and crows. Sometimes he moved or walked, and sometimes he sat down in one place. Sometimes he lay down, behaving exactly like cows, deers, and crows. In this way, he ate, drank, passed stool and urine, and cheated the people in this way. Okay. So further, um, just to show all the yogis the mystic powers process, Lord Rishabdev, the plenary expansion of the Lord Krishna, performed wonderful activities. Actually, he was the master of liberation and was fully absorbed in transcendental bliss, which increased 1,000-fold. Yeah, so it is mentioned Lord Krishna is the original source of Rishabdev. There is no difference in their constitution, and consequently, Lord Rishabdev awakened the loving symptoms of crying, laughing, and shivering. He was always absorbed in transcendental love. Due to this, all mystic powers automatically approached him, such as the ability to travel in outer space at the speed of mind, to appear and disappear, to enter the bodies of others, and to see things far away, far away. Although he could do all this, he did not exercise his powers. Okay, so this is actually, it is mentioned that he exhibited the symptoms of ecstatic love, and also he attained all the Ashtasiddhis. So it is told that there's a sloka which says that, no, I forgot who actually told. See, basically, it is told that for a devotee, all the siddhis, no, they actually will wait in their door like a maid servant, asking what shall I do for you? Because see, many of the jnanis and yogis, they perform so many severe penance and austerities to get in these ashtasiddhis, like anima, mahima, lagima, prapti, and there are some more, which actually mentioned. Some of them are mentioned here. So their ultimate aim is to attain these ashtasiddhis. But it is told that no, a devotee actually doesn't endeavor for this. Siddhis or Ashtasiddhis. Because actually, because it is told that when somebody becomes a pure devotee, all these Ashtasiddhis will wait in front of the door just like a maid servant, asking, "No, how can I serve you? Can I serve you?" like that. But the devotee is not; they will not even look at it, because these Ashtasiddhis, etc., are actually distractions in the path of absolute spiritual realization. Because by taking that path, somebody may become entangled again. No, he may become proud of the capabilities. So it's all every chance of falling down. So because of which the devotee is not interested, but actually devotee nevertheless get all the siddhis automatically. So it is told that Rishabdev, though he had all the siddhis, he did not exercise any of them. Okay, so with that, the 5th chapter is over. Now actually we'll move on to 6th chapter. So any questions till now?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, bro. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, yeah, so one question I have is respect to Vedas, right? So this is I had in my mind for a long time. So if those karma kanda is actually not required, it will take the people in the wrong path. Why is it there in the first place, Prabhu? Why
Yeah.
Krishna created those?
See, because in the material world, no, there are different kinds of people, right? Everybody is not. So basically, it's like a ladder. So people are in different stages of progress. Somebody actually, somebody is in a very lower stage. You say that's why there are 4 varnas and 4 ashramas, right? We have Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and then there are outcasts like Chandalas, etc. So because of there are different gradations of people, there are different gradations of scriptures also. So we also see that no Puranas, they are also divided into mode of Sattva-guna, Rajaguna, and Tamaguna. Because see, somebody for a normal person, very abominable person or a person in a low grade, it is not possible in one shot to directly understand the things which are mentioned in Sattva-guna. So for them, the gradual process of elevation is required. And ultimately, because it is told that why the living entity has come to the material world. First of all, then we can ask the question why Krishna created material world itself, right? So then material world is also not required, no. So, but why the Lord created material world is because the living entities have a free will and they had a desire to enjoy independent of Him, right? But that is why material world is created, and the living entities have so many varieties of desires. To fulfill the various desires of living entity, they come here, right? So it is hardly very difficult that no in the first birth itself somebody becomes perfect and go back. So the living, once it comes here, they actually get stuck here, and then they go through so many different cycles of birth and death. So for different grades of people, there are different different sections in Vedas, Prabhu. Is it okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Thanks, Prabhu.
Yeah. Any other questions, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Okay, looks like no more. So let us continue. So now we move to the sixth chapter. This chapter is known as Activities of Lord Rishabhdev. So apparently, I think Parishad Maharaj asked the question. No, I mean everybody has, when we read this, we will have a question that why did Rishabhdev did not exhibit his mystic powers? So to that, Sukadev Goswami actually mentions all learned scholars who have given the opinion that the mind is by nature very restless and one should not make friends with it. If you place full confidence in the mind, it may cheat us at any moment. Even Lord Shiva became agitated upon seeing Mohini, form of the Lord Krishna, and Saurabha Muni, Saubhari Muni, also fell down from the mature state of yogic perfection. So because of that, actually, he did not want to trust on the mind, because this yogic siddhis, etc., is actually based on the mind control and activities of mind. So Rishabdev actually did not show any interest in those mystic powers. Then further it is explained the mind is the root cause of lust, anger, pride, greed, lamentation, illusion, and fear. Combined, these constitute bondage to fruitive activities. What learned man would put faith in the mind. Okay, so about the mind, I think we'll discuss further actually in detail after some few chapters. At that time, we can discuss more in detail. So yeah, further it is described. It is mentioned that Lord, we already covered that Lord Rishabdev had no material body, but due to Yoga Maya, he considered his body material, and therefore, because he played like an ordinary human being, he gave up the mentality of identifying with it. Following this principle, he began to wander all over the world. While traveling, he came to the province of Karnada in South India and passed through Konga, Venga, and Kodaka. Okay, he had no plan to travel this way, but he arrived near Kutakachala. So I think last class, Suki Prabhu was saying that Kodakachala is, which is at Kodaga, you know. So in South, so they, I think looks like they passed through this province of Karnataka, okay, in ancient time, and he entered the forest there. So he placed stones within his mouth and began to wander through the forest naked, and with his hair disheveled like a madman. So towards the end, no, he actually moved to South India and he passes through these provinces of Karnataka. Okay. While he was wandering about, a wild forest fire began. This fire was caused by the friction of bamboos, which were being blown by the wind. In that fire, the entire forest near Kutakachala and the body of Lord Rishabdev were burnt into ashes. So this way, the Lord chooses to disappear in this particular way. So we may ask, why the Lord did. Actually, so whatever pastime the Lord does, we cannot ask. I mean, if you ask why he does, actually, there's no answer for that, right? Because he is supremely independent, and by his sweet will, he can do whatever way he chooses, actually. So nevertheless, we can see that Lord Rishabdev actually passed in this way. That actually, he entered the forest and he was burned into ashes. So here, actually, one interesting thing is mentioned. Is actually many of us would have known about this Jainism, right? Jains. We know there are many Jains. So this is also we can see in South Karnataka also it is there. In Karnataka also we see, in other state, North India also we see. So it is mentioned that the king of no, there was a king whose name was Arhat. Okay, and he was the king of this province of Konga, Venga, and Kotaka at that time. And he heard about Rishabdev's pastime. Okay, And it is mentioned that imitating Rishabdev's principles, he introduced a new system of religion. Taking advantage of the Kali Yuga, the age of sinful activity, King Arhad, being bewildered, gave up the Vedic principles, which are free from risk, and concocted a new system of religion opposed to the Vedas. That was the beginning of the Jain Dharma. Many other so-called religions followed this atheistic system. So this is little interesting to know. So we know many Jains, right? So actually, if you talk to the Jains, apparently they look very nice in the sense, no, like they don't eat non-vegetarian. They look little sattvic, but actually in it is also like covered atheism, like Buddhism. It is mentioned that Buddhism is covered atheism. So they actually this religion was concocted by this king, right? And then they created their own religion, and then they follow their own principles. But actually, it is not really bona fide, this path. That's what actually we can understand from what Prabhupada's translation and purport. Okay, so with that, actually, the sixth chapter is also 1 second over. Yeah, sixth chapter is over. So in the end, there is a Falasudi. What is the benefit of having the pastimes of Rishabdev? Okay, it is mentioned. This narration of Lord Rishabdev's pastimes is reservoir of all auspicious things. Whoever attentively hears or speaks of them, following in the footsteps of the Acharyas, will certainly attain unalloyed devotional service at the lotus feet of Lord Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so with that, we came to the end of sixth chapter. Okay, now I think we next is chapter 7. I don't think if we start, we may not have time to make progress. So I can just want to check with you whether we should start chapter 7 or no, we should take questions. Maybe another 5-6 minutes are there.
Prabhu, this one, 7th chapter is very big.
Yeah, I try to see. Let me see. Not very big actually. It's a small chapter. The chapter may be big actually, but no, what I want to say is not much. Should I continue then?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes,
Okay, so
Prabhu.
now, okay. So here actually, so now till now we heard about Rishabdev's pastime, right? So we saw that Rishabdev had 100 sons, of which the eldest one is Bharat, Maharaj Bharat actually, whose name this Bharatvarsha is known now. Okay, so then actually in this chapter it is talked about Maharaj Bharat. So we'll see about Maharaj Bharat in this chapter. Okay, this is just an introduction, and then further we see many chapters are there for Bharat Maharaj. Okay, so it is mentioned Bharat Maharaj was a topmost devotee. Okay, and his wife, yeah, wife Panchajani. So his wife was Panchajani, and he had 5 sons. Okay, names are given as Sumati, Rashtrabhuta, Sudarshana, Avarana, and Dhumraketu. Okay, so it is told that before Rishabdev, actually before Bharat Maharaj ruled this planet, the name of the planet, anybody knows what it was before Bharat Maharaj?
Ilavati Varsh.
Ilavadi is another part, no, in the Jambudip. So here actually it is mentioned as, it is known as Ajnaba.
Ajnaba.
The formerly this planet was known as Ajnaba. Okay, and after the reign of Bharat Maharaj, it came to be known as Bharatvarsha. That's how it is mentioned in this chapter. Yeah, so Bharat Maharaj also was a perfect example, no, how to rule. Right, he ruled it's the same way how his father and his ancestors ruled. He actually ruled his kingdom, treating his citizens as his own children, and he was very affectionate and like a father. So Maharaj Bharat is considered as a very good example of an ideal king. Right, he is considered now also now until nowadays actually he is respected as a great ruler and an ideal king. Right, he performed various sacrifices to please Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, but always he was a devotee right from the beginning, right? Because of the instructions of Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj will instruct. Some sound is coming. Abraj Prabhu, I think from your mic. Yeah. So, Rishabdev, before he departed, he had instructed actually his all the sons, 100 sons. No, he told his 99 sons that no, they should follow Bharat Maharaj and cooperate with him. Okay, so this way Bharat Maharaj was a very ideal example. He ruled the kingdom with the cooperation of his sons, other brothers. Okay, and he was a devotee from day one. He is always used to worship the Supreme Lord. Okay, so about Bharat Maharaj, in Srimad Bhagavatam, more is described. More of his activities is described after actually he retires from family life. So during his family life and how he ruled the kingdom, we don't have much discussion, because actually for a devotee's perspective, devotees are more interested how somebody performed devotional service, right? So this way, that is only mentioned in a brief way. So it is mentioned that Bharat Maharaj ruled the planet for 1 crore years. Okay, so that's a very long period. We saw that 100 crore years actually was the one of the previous kings, right? So Bharat Maharaj ruled for 1 crore years, and then after that he retired from family life and divided the wealth, among his children, and then he went to, what is that, Pulahashrama, okay, which is situated near Haridwar. So actually, this is near the Gandaki River in Nepal, where actually Salagram Silas are available. So he went there. This is also one of the holy place, and Bharat Maharaj actually goes to this ashram called Pula Ashrama. Okay, so actually he in this particular place, Maharaj Bharat, he starts an austere life, completely in a secluded place. He makes a small cottage, and in the gardens, he lived alone and collected a variety of flowers, twigs, and tulsi leaves. He also collected the water for the Gandaki, from the Gandaki river, as well as various roots, fruits, and bulbs. So basically, like in Vanaprastha or in Sannyasa kind of life, we have to just depend on the nature. Actually, we are not supposed to eat cooked foods, etc. So with this offered, so whatever is available, like roots, fruits, bulbs, actually he offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, and worshipped him. He remained satisfied. In this way, his heart was completely uncontaminated, and he did not have the least desire for material enjoyment. So very interesting thing we have to note is that, so Bharat Maharaj was a very extremely opulent king, right? He had sovereignty of entire Bharatvarsha, means entire earth. uh, And then he was very successful in his kingdom, and he had enjoyed so much of material opulence. He had wives, so many children, all material pleasures at his disposal. But nevertheless, actually, he gave up everything. No, and you may think that, okay, 1 crore wise anyway he would have almost dead actually. But I know at that time they used to live for much longer. So in his prime kind of youth only, Maharaj Bharat gives up everything. Okay, because he lived for a very long period. So it was very difficult. This giving up the family life is extremely difficult. But nevertheless, actually, he was able to completely get detached from all these things. And he was able to leave everything and go to the forest, right? So then he makes very fast progress, Bharat Maharaj, right? So gradually he lost all attachment for regulative duties. Then he started develop. It is told that Bharat Maharaj has reached the symptom of bhava, right? So we have different steps in the progress of devotional life, right? So we say Adav Shraddha, Tadusanga, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivrti, Nishta, Ruji, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. So these are the 9 steps actually, when a devotee, a living entity makes progress in the devotional life, right? So Ado Shraddha, Tada Sadhusanga, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivrti. So Anartha Nivrti, everybody will get stuck actually. So getting rid of all the attachments, unnecessary attachments, this is called Anartha Nivrti. So this is a very difficult stage called the clearing stage. So most of us actually, are there and will remain there for a very long period. Then after Anartha Nivrti is Nishta, strong faith. Then after that Ruchi comes, means taste. Then Asakti, very strong attachment. Then Bhava. Bhava actually is very advanced stage, and Bhava after that Prema. So Prema is the ultimate, Krishna Prema, right? We say Krishna Prema Pradayade, right? So Krishna Prema is the topmost that actually one can achieve. And just before the Krishna Prema is Bhava. So between Bhava and Krishna Prema, there is not much difference. It's almost like same. Only thing is that the same. It is like no. It is told that something like sugarcane and crystals. Something like when the prema is actually condensed, like milk and milk. We have this what you call condensed milk, right? So when the milk is more condensed and when it becomes more sweetened, it is milk made kind of thing. Yeah. So prema and bhava is like almost same actually. So Bharat Maharaj, actually it is mentioned that he almost attained the stage of bhava, right? So generally it is mentioned that once one reaches asakti, yeah? No, nishta. I think nishta. So nishta stage once you cross, then actually it is not very easy to fall down. The chance of fall down are very less. But actually we see that Lord always, we have to see, we should not see the different stories of Srimad Bhagavatam, the histories which are mentioned, is the Lord's intention to show different examples, right? And some of the examples will be like kind of extreme scenarios, right? So it is for us to understand the essence of what is required. So we cannot say, sometimes it's an exception than a rule. So no, some certain cases we can see that. So generally, devotee will not fall down once they become cross the Nishta stage. But here we see that Bharat Maharaj, even after reaching Bhava, he actually falls down. Right? That's what we will see. Okay, so it is told that Bharat Maharaj, how do we understand he is in Bhava? Because he exhibited the symptoms of there's 8 symptoms actually, which is exhibited by pure devotee, like the standing on end of the hairs, right? And then like tears flowing continuously from the eyes, right? Shivering, so many different symptoms actually. So Bharat Maharaj actually he reached a state of pure devotion, and then he has started exhibiting these different symptoms of pure love. Then he constantly meditated on the reddish lotus feet of the Lord. At that time, his heart, which was like a lake, was filled with the water of ecstatic love. When his mind was immersed in that lake, he even forgot the regulative service of the Lord. Okay, so that is the end of the seventh chapter, and eighth chapter will continue further the same discussion. So what we have to just remember is that Bharat Maharaj actually attains a very advanced devotional stage, right? And then it is mentioned that when somebody crosses uh, the normal what you call very advanced devotional service, then actually it is not necessary for them to perform the ritualistic activities. So that we saw from Avadutas, right? Rishabdev, they are also they we don't see them actually they perform like chanting explicitly or not performing various other things. So similarly, when somebody becomes very advanced, then they don't have to actually they are having direct perception of the Supreme Lord. They can actually interact with the Lord. So they are in very advanced stage. For such a very exalted devotee, the ritualistic things actually we because we say that our what we call actually raganuga bhakti, right? And basically it is known as what is actually forgot actually vidhi. No, basically we have to follow in the neophyte stage and in the madhyamadhikari stage. Yeah, vidhi marga. Basically there are different rules and regulations which has to be followed. So that is only for the neophyte and Vaidya Bhakti. So being following rules and regulations. So this is required for the people who are actually kind of Kanishta Adhikari and Madhyama Adhikari. For Uttama Adhikari who is a pure liberated soul, they don't have to actually do any of these regulative activities. But nevertheless, we see in our community, for example, in ISKCON, we can see that even pure devotees actually they follow these things just to set an example because neophytes and madhyamadhikari they will look upon the advanced devotees as an example. So if they don't themselves follow, then they may actually start thinking they might start committing offenses thinking that okay they are not following and etc. So just for the sake of others to follow, uttamadhikari actually performs these activities, but actually there is no need for them to perform them. So it is told that Bharat Maharaj finally achieved that stage where actually he did not have to perform the regulative service of the Lord. Okay, so with that, actually, we can end today's session. So next is chapter 8, where actually, for we'll see the further descriptions of Bharat Maharaj's activities.